Hey guys, how's it going? I'm in a 2016 BMW 320 ED, efficient dynamics. So it's effectively their most efficient 3 Series with their sort of familiar 2-litre twin scroll diesel under the hood. But it's detuned from the 320D, which I think now puts out about 190 brake horsepower, and this one it puts out just over 160, slightly less torque figures. But yeah, it's tuned along with the ZF 8-speed gearbox to be a lot more efficient. Yeah, and you know, the standard 320D is already very efficient. I think the average is about 60, but this one has a claimed average of over 70 MPG. I've already done a motorway test on it coming back from where I picked the car up. It was only about an 8-mile stretch, but I managed at Sticky, at the motorway speed limit, I managed over 90 MPG. So that leaves me in good faith that I could get close to the combined, you know, on a mixed journey. So yeah, I'm just leaving my gym, so apologies if I'm glowing or sweating, but I've just had a bit of a big post Fashion Week session, and I'm going to head home, but I'm not going to go home the usual route, which is only about a 10-minute A road route. I'm going to go a bit of a long way around, which sort of entails a bit of stop-start, A roads. I'm going to do one junction on the M25, then the M40, and then again sort of A and B roads back into the village that I live. So yeah, so it should give a very realistic MPG. The engine is, I'm just letting it warm up, so the engine's warm. Always important with MPG tests and stuff, because when they're cold they're not as efficient. So the engine's warm, checked all the tyre pressures earlier, they're all good. The car's done, even though it's pretty much brand new, it's only a month old or something, it's done 4,000 miles, so it's reasonably running as well. I'm sure when it gets to 10,000, 12, 15,000, it'll be even more efficient. But 4,000 is a good place to start, and it's already proved itself with 90 odd miles a gallon on the motorway, which is just ludicrous. Now, yeah, so let's head off. I'm going to roll out of here. So hopefully you can see that screen. I think everything's contrast has turned right up. So I'm going to reset this. Navigate out of here. You always get a few maniacs coming out after their big gym session. You'd think everyone would be quite chilled, but people tend to get quite heated. I'll leave the annoying start-stop on. Right, so reset all values, yes. So there we go. So we're reset now, and off we go. As you can see, we're coming straight up to, well, you can't see because you're facing me, but we're coming straight up to a junction. And we can roll out of here. So I'm in Eco Pro. The gearbox is amazing. It shifts through the gears so efficiently, and because it's still got a lot of torque, it really doesn't need to downshift. This has got the standard. It hasn't got the sports automatic, so it's got the. Let me slow right down for this bus. Actually, basically had to stop there on a hill, which is probably going to do our MPG no favours at all. But anyway, this is a realistic test, so I've got no excuses. So what was I saying? Yeah, sports automatic. So it hasn't got the sports automatic with the paddles and stuff. But in this sort of car, a bit like my 7 Series, you know, it's not so much a driver's focused car. It's you know, you'd buy this if you're on a budget, if you're doing long journeys. It's a fantastic car. I've only had it a couple of days, not done that many miles in it, but you know, it has big tyres, like 60 profile tyres in it. I think they're only 17 or 16 inch rims with big profile tyres, so that gives you a nice ride. Definitely has a better ride than, say, an M Sport version of this car. But amazingly, it still doesn't have the same ride that the Alpina had, the Alpina D3 that I had, which is amazing, really. I mean, that just speaks volumes for what Alpina have done with that setup, and how, you know, how much they've tuned the suspension and whatever they put into their own parts is just amazing. The one thing it doesn't do, which the Alpina did suffer from, is it doesn't crash over big bumps. It still has, you know, has the extra cushioning in the tyre. It has a bit more travel in the suspension, That's the one thing that the Alpina sort of suffered from, was the crashing over bigger bumps. But everything else, it just ironed out that car, so very impressive. But yeah, the ride in this is not bad. It hasn't got adaptive suspension. This car, in fact, is very standard. I don't think it's got cruise control, so maybe that's like comfort pack, or I'll need to look that up when I get home. But otherwise, everything else, nav these days, the basic nav is standard. It's got auto wipers and lights, but I think that might be standard now. Yeah, otherwise, it's all very bog standard in here. It's got the standard seats, which I haven't sat in for a while, but actually they're not the most supportive seats in the world, but they don't do a bad job, and it's quite nice. I do like cloth material. It offers more grip immediately over, say, leather, and they're not bad. They're very thin, so they don't take up much cabin space. They offer they offer lots of legroom at the back, because the seat backs are so thin. So even with me, big me in the driver's seat, there's plenty of room in the back for another me. Yeah, it's just typical 3 Series affair. Otherwise, this car, it has the very bog standard halogen headlamps and stuff, which on a BMW it's just over 30 grand, and it's very good value, and it's going to be very cheap running costs. But really, on a 2016 BMW, I think it's a bit cheeky that, especially on a 3 Series, that this still comes equipped with halogen lights. But I guess they need to keep the cost down somehow, and against their rivals, they're sort of more mainstream rivals that actually aren't that much cheaper. But I would certainly, have the LED options on this car. Aside from the benefits that LED headlamps offer you, the sort of the much better viewing and seeing at night, much safer lights, they also just make the car look 10 times better. It's just the typical sort of BMW halos, I guess. Right, so we're coming out of here. So anyway, we've been going almost 5 minutes. We've done 2 miles, and as you can see, it's been mixed stop and start. It's been through towns, 30-40 miles an hour mostly, and we've averaged so far 57 MPG, and I'm not even lying to you. You can hopefully see that on the screen there. It just rolls. You take your foot off the accelerator and there's no drag. Look, I feel like I'm accelerating. I'm on a flat road here, and I feel like I'm accelerating. It's obviously programmed. The gearbox is so programmed to give as much freedom as possible. Again, we'll come up to a stop here. We'll just try and keep it rolling, just as much really to stop the start-stop kicking in. So we're going to come around here. Up here, but yeah, very impressive so far. Stop-start, slow speeds, about as bad as you get when testing MPG, and we're still at 56 MPG. Lots of up and downs as well. Very impressive bit of kit. Very impressive. Again, off the accelerator, and it's just rolling up this hill, almost like it's got drive. I'm going to have to come almost to a stop here, let him through, and then off we go again. Again, through 3rd, 4th, into 5th. And even though I'm in Eco Pro and it is changing through the box very fast, because of the torque that's always there, it doesn't feel like I'm suddenly running out of power, and it's going to have to make a sudden down change if I do need something. It's always there, always there. Okay guys, so we're 8 minutes now, almost 5 miles, and yeah, I've still managed to keep, again, we've just been doing stop-start 30-40 miles an hour through sort of towns, and I've still managed to keep the average at 56. Now I'm turning onto the motorway here, so hopefully we're going onto the good old M25, or at least it's not a standstill. I'm going to accelerate fairly hard onto this, so we're doing 40, 50, changing down lovely. Look, we're in 7th already. I think that's 8th. 60 to indicate merging here, checking all our mirrors. Lovely. Now let's get out one lane here. So now we're at 70 miles an hour, so I'm going to stick it at 70. Cruise control on. And yeah, this is hopefully we're going to claw back some of that loss, although this section of the M25 is quite undulating, so it's probably not the most efficient bit of road to be on. But again, this is a real life test. I'm not messing around here. I don't work for BMW. I'm almost trying to prove that figure wrong, because let's face it, how often are combined MPG figures, you know, lies? Not to mention certain manufacturers, but they all are. You know, you never can match the manufacturer's claim MPG. So I'm trying to prove wrong. So the MPG dropped to about 50 as I was accelerating reasonably hard onto the motorway, but now we're clawing it back up again, and we're over 55. About 400 years old, and they're a Volvo driver, so I expect there was no one in the outside lane there, like nobody at all, and I indicated for ages you saw that, but he still wouldn't move over. Right, so we've been going along the M25 for about 3 miles now, 2 or 3 miles, and my MPG is rocketing. It's gone from about 50 when I pulled onto the M25 on the slight up ramp, I guess you'd call it, and we're now approaching 60 MPG. So that's average. Remember, that's from the time we set off, the times, you know, we started several times, 30, 40, slowed down for roundabout several times, and now we're sort of just about on the motorway speed limit, and that figure's gone right up. We're just over 59 at the moment, and I'm positive, depending on traffic, that we can get that up. So yeah, let's have a look. We're coming off at the next junction, which is the M40 junction, heading towards London, towards where I live. Again, we're going up a bit of an incline here, so sucked a little bit out of the MPG, back down to 58.6 average. But again, we've got a bit of a descent here, so that should go right up. I reckon we should see at least 60 now once we start heading down here. But it's yeah, it's lovely. We're sitting at, like I said, the motorway speed limit exactly, 70 mph, which is about 110, 112 kph, I believe. And the engine, you can't even hear the engine. It's there's a fair amount of road noise in here, in fact. I don't know if the high profile tyres, they give off more road noise than your normal sort of lower profile, I don't know. But also the surface on the M25 is pretty horrific, as I'm sure most of you know. So yeah, so we're just cruising along, and we're doing about 1600 RPM. So the engine's just, you know, in its sweet spot. It's this 2-litre turbo diesel. That's where all the torque is, and it's not using much power. It's just, you know, perfect. So our junction's coming up now. We've got about half a mile. So I don't want to put any rash manoeuvres. I don't want to kill my MPG, so we'll just keep rolling up here. See, the average, we've managed to now get it up to 63.5, so it's looking good. Right, let's go through here. Nothing coming in the inside. Lovely. Right, so we're coming off at the M40 junction now. We're doing about 65, 66 miles an hour. So far we've been going 14 minutes and we've done 11 miles, and our average is 65.2 mpg. So we've got a couple more miles to go. I have a strong feeling we're going to get very close to that 70 mile an hour claim figure, and this is no bullshit. This is a an absolutely fair test. So I'm pulling onto the M40 here. I'm doing exactly 70 miles an hour with the cruise control on. We're coming out. I'm showing an indicator that I'm doing about 75 to 80 MPG. Yeah, 80 MPG. Now my junction's just down here, so yeah, I'm just gonna start slowing down. Indicate I'm behind a truck as well. That MPG is going to shoot right up here. We're at 66.5. And off we go. Yeah, we're approaching 70 MPG. Coming down here, 60 miles an hour on the down ramp. Just going to let it roll up to the lights. You know, that's what I'd normally do. It's yeah, so here we come. The lights have gone red. So again, this is what I'd normally do. I'm quite an efficient driver, even though I like driving fast. I'm quite an efficient driver. So if the lights are red, I'm going to slow down a long way before them and try and roll up to them and hope that they'll go green by the time I get to them. It's the way everyone should drive, unless you've got loads of traffic behind you or whatever. You know, there's no point in rushing up to a set of red traffic lights and slamming on the brakes. You're using your brakes up, you're using more fuel up, you know, the ride's more jerky. Just, there you go. And it's just about keep it rolling. So we're at 68.5 MPG. I'm going to pull into a petrol station just next to where I live. Again, we're having to come to a complete stop here, or we might be able to just roll it out. Yeah. Had to accelerate a little bit hard there. That's going to dent the MPG somewhat. In fact, we'll go down here. Again, we're going to have to come to a stop here because this is a really sketchy junction and there's no gaps. I'm going to just have to punch it through here a little bit. Okay, so we're pretty much home. 19 minutes, 13 miles. 67.4 average at an average speed of 43 miles an hour. I'll just show you quickly. Apologies for all the jerkiness. Yeah, so I mean, that's impressive. You know, we've left the gym from a standstill. We've pulled up to, I don't know, 10, 12, 15 junctions. We've accelerated onto the motorway. We've accelerated along sort of B and A roads. We've accelerated up junctions and onto roundabouts. You know, we've been doing the motorway speed limit. All of those, you know, that was an everyday journey. That was a totally fair everyday journey. You know, 13 miles, it's probably an average person's commute. I don't know, maybe people, well, I'm sure people do more than that and people do less than that, but it's a fairly good gauge on an average person's commute. I wasn't expecting to get that close to the claimed 70 or 71 MPG. I mean, 67.5, I think it was, is very impressive. Because that was a real life genuine test. It was 2:30. The traffic wasn't too bad, but you know, it wasn't like it was 5 in the morning. There was traffic around. I had to stop a number of times on roundabouts and stuff. Stop at a couple of sets of traffic lights. You know, there was 30, 40, 50, 70 mile an hour stuff there. Pulling onto the motorway used a good chunk of diesel. Yeah, so I think really that was about as fair a test as you could ever get, and it was completely, you know, it was random. I planned it in the gym. I was like, oh, let's do it on the way home. Let's go a long way. It was what, 13, 14 miles. I guess that's probably the majority of people's average commute distance. And it was an all-round journey. and I was extremely, I mean, I know this car is amazing on the motorway because I've already experienced the 80 to 90 something MPG that it can achieve at the sort of national speed limit, which is amazing. But you know, obviously, like all cars, or any vehicle around, it's around towns and the stop that really uses the majority of the fuel. So as I was pulling onto the M25 and it had already averaged 60, or close to 60, 56 I think it was, I had faith that, you know, that we're going to get very close to the 70 MPG, and we did. We got very close to that. So amazing. I'm actually genuinely very impressed. I mean, I know my 7 Series, which is just over there, might be slightly out of shot, but I know that has a claim of about 51, and certainly for a similar sort of journey I could probably achieve 45, and on long runs on the motorway it would do 55, high 50s. So I know BMW's claim figure is always pretty accurate. You know, there's been a few manufacturers out there in the spotlight lately that have sort of twisted their combined figures through various means of electronics or whatever, and I'm sure the majority of manufacturers have done it. And let's face it, how many times you actually get into or how many times you read a statistic like a combined MPG and actually believe it? You know, they never, you can never get close to the claim figure. But I'm sorry, you know, as I said earlier, I don't work for BMW, and that was a totally random and fair test, and to get 67.5 MPG combined as an average, I mean, wow, that's you know, that's impressive. That's really, really impressive. God knows what that equates to a tank, but I'm sure I'll put it on the screen. And yeah, with diesel prices, with diesel at just £1 a litre, you know, it's cheap motoring this car. I'm sure the tyres are a lot cheaper because they're, you know, they're high profile, narrower tyres on this car. So although it doesn't have the aesthetics, although it doesn't look as good as an M Sport, if you're after, you know, BMW ergonomics, you want to own a BMW. Let's face it, you know, 80% of what's in here is just as nice as a sort of M Sport model or whatever. If you want a BMW but you want to keep the running costs as low as possible, this is the car to do it. I'm sure it appeals to a lot of fleet cars and fleet owners and stuff because the tax, in fact this one is free to tax, because its CO2 is below 100 grams, which is amazing. Again, it's amazing for a car that you know, with the performance figures that it's got, the performance that it's got on offer, incredible. You know, only a few years ago you'd only find that in tiny city cars, less than 100 grams CO2. So yeah, technology is going a long way, and it's a very impressive bit of kit. So well done BMW. I am very impressed with this. To have those kind of figures, you know, it gives me a bit of satisfaction. I love fast cars. I love going fast. I love performance figures. I love not 60 times in a quarter of a mile and, you know, all that sort of jazz. But at the same time, getting in something like this that isn't slow, but yet can return ridiculous MPG, that's almost as impressive to me as you know, as top speeds and acceleration times. So yeah, good work BMW, nice one.